Hey, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, this is definitely late night meandering because it's gone 9:15. So yes, of course, I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. But I wanted to talk about about the average attention span because it actually concerns us very much if I'm going to talk about anything. Now, apart from the people who actually think that I've got a weird, somebody said, that weird quiet voice that you have that weirds me out, and then others who think that I talk too much. Heavens, could that really be true? One man says, oh no, here we go, War and Peace. Meaning, I suppose, I haven't read War and Peace, and I wonder if he has. I think probably he's just looked at the book and seen that it's about that thick and said, oh no, War and Peace, no thank you. Anyway, I think that it's a tragedy that people don't read more, but maybe doing narrations, as I did in one of our videos, somebody sent me a book which had The Secret Life of Walter Mitty in it, which is a beautifully written book. Well, the book is beautifully written, but the actual lead story in it is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which I read. I narrated that in one of our recent, I think, yesterday's long days. They seem to go on forever, and sometimes I forget that we actually didn't get up yesterday, it was this morning. So anyway, I read that story yesterday and I hope that it was enjoyed, but we haven't been online all day today for me to be able to look at comments. So I listen to the comments and I do try to change a little, not much, because I'm British. It's hard to be humble when you're British. Actually, that's not my saying. I used to see that on the refrigerator of a friend of mine who was also British, spoke awfully nice. Anyway, I thought I'm looking at something that was beautifully written. May I, with your permission, shut up, may I say what is on the page? Listen to this. This is, in every writer's life, there will be the refusal, the rejection letter, and this rejection letter was from a Chinese publisher, from Louis Zhukovsky, and his book called A, I think. Anyway, this is what it said, and I thought that this was so beautifully written, and it really made me smile. Most Honourable Sir, we perused your manuscript with boundless delight, and we hurry to swear by our ancestors we have never read any other that equals its mastery. Were we to publish your work, we could never presume again on our public and name to print books of a standard not up to yours. For we cannot imagine that the next 10,000 years will offer its ectype. We must therefore refuse your work that shines as it were in the sky, and beg you 1,000 times to pardon our fault, which impairs but our own officers, the publishers. I really thought that that was wonderfully written. But then I find a joy in the written word, which then becomes the spoken word. And that brings us to whether the attention span of people who listen to what I have to say on, let's face it, on just the meanderings of an old guy, as so many of you often remind me, the old man. I used to call my dad the old man, and he was only like 40. What the heck happened? Well, anyway, so the average attention span, is it long or is it short? Well, as I say, some people are saying that the average attention span is very short, and that probably is because we have what's called immediate, let me see, what was the rephrase? We get what we want immediately, and we don't wait for anything. Like, I was behind an American woman in London once, and we were getting McDonald's, and she was in front, and we'd been waiting for like 3 minutes. She said, "This is not fast food. I've been waiting 3 minutes, and it's not fast food." I thought, my God, it would have to be delivered at the speed of light. I mean, how could a potato grow quickly enough for this woman to make her French fries? But anyway, she declared, "This is not fast food." I thought, I can't wait to go to America, because they probably got your order out and on the counter before you've actually given it. That would be fast food, wouldn't it? So the attention span, we're really talking about something that it has no joy, it has no pleasure. There's no. I can remember reading the work of John Steinbeck, and I read some major books which I've mentioned before, and I remember reading The Grapes of Wrath, and in The Grapes of Wrath, some of the parts which take up only a page are like these cameos of beauty. These cameos of where he describes something so beautifully it brings a tear to your eye. And, you know, immediate gratification, that was the phrase I was looking for, that disappeared into the cotton wool that I often call my mind. Instant gratification has kind of ruined everything. You go in and you want a meal in 3 minutes, and our life is going too fast, if you think about it in a way. When we were coming home from Tagbilaran, we passed a place, in actual fact it was in Abanga, and in Abanga, oh, it's not easy to say that, in Abanga, yeah, that was it, wasn't it? So it's funny how when you speak with an awfully English accent, you can usually say most things, of course. Well, anyway, I looked over at this crossroads, and there was a bakery that was open, and the bakery had a long counter, and there were stools embedded in the concrete, and there were lots of youngsters all around, and they're drinking hot chocolate and tea and Coke and all of that. And I said to my friend, "Look at that, America 60 years ago." And then I remembered when I was a youngster, let me see, that's the 1900 and frozen to death, my dear, and we would go in coffee bars, not drinking, not getting drunk or smashed out of our head. We'd go in coffee bars, and we'd get to meet people in coffee bars, chat and talk, and because we were still sober, often the talk was quite intelligent, my dear. So things have changed an awful lot, and I remember looking over at all of these kids in that coffee bar, what amounted to a coffee bar, and they were all hanging out together, and it wasn't about booze, it was about being together, it was about drinking another Coca-Cola, which I know all about the Coca-Cola. If you put it on a penny, it will rot the penny away. I know all about that. But anyway, let's pretend that it is the only thing that will make you happy, like the ads will say. And I looked and I liked the way, and I said to my friend, as I said, "Look, America 50 or 60 years ago, and probably the same for Great Britain." And I wonder how much things have changed for the better. Well, we're on about attention span. I hope you're still with me, my dear. In the old days, in the America that lots of people write to me about and say, I remember that my childhood was the happiest time of my life. Even when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, we would go to the local soda fountain and we'd have milkshakes and we'd have Coke floats or whatever they called them then, and Coca-Colas and 7-Up. They probably had 7-Up when it was only called 6-Up. And they always tell me about a different kind of living. How when they pulled into a gas station, a man would come out with a smile on his face and he would say, can I take the oil? Can I check for the oil and water? He would lift the hood of the car up. Of course, in America, in England, it was called the bonnet. Can I? Yes, sir. Can I check the oil and water in your car for you? I'll just lift the good old bonnet here. And he would do that for you. How about the windshield washers? I think we could do with a little bit of water in there, couldn't we? And he would do that, and he would do it with pleasure. And he would, if you wanted to, he would pump the tyres up as well, and it was all for nothing. Or maybe you gave him a few pennies in a tip. And I don't know, it was a different way of life. When you looked under the hood or the bonnet of a car, it looked like an engine. Now it looks like something that NASA put in there. Does it have any plugs? Does it, I mean, where do you put the water? Where's the dipstick? And it makes you feel like a dipstick. You see, things have changed, and along with it has gone our attention span, which is what I was really trying to say, but my own attention span is suddenly lacking sometimes, and I can't remember what I started off to say. Well, that's what meandering is about. You go from one thing to another, and then that reminds you of something else, and you meander. So I'm thinking that I've meandered enough, haven't I? And I will let off now. Oh, I shouldn't say let off. In the old days, that meant that you farted. Someone would look at you and say, did you let off? It's all about where you come from. Actually, farting didn't used to be called farting. It was either called letting off or trumping. Now, isn't that so much nicer to say, ooh, I trumped? Anyway, that's as much as I can say about that, because it all gets down into toilet humour, which we're not about, are we? Well, present company accepted. So this is A Foreigner in the Philippines. I hope that your attention span has allowed you to traverse 13 whole minutes and get to the end. Thanks for listening. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.